50% stay on Magistrat and just 7% gets to the city districts. And we need to say that almost 100% of the Prague's area are the city districts. Of course, there are the projects like metro, city transportation, zoo, etc., etc. But still, it's 93%. This is really not typical in none of other cities or regions. But back to the companies, because I think that you deserve some numbers.
Go ahead.
Well, I will give you just two examples. One example, I was finishing a couple months ago a kindergarten in Kolodě. The cost was 15 millions. There are the same kindergarten in Prague where the cost was 100 million for the same building. Example two, the reparation of the roads. When we were repairing the roads 1 year ago in my districts, the cost was 94,000 Czech crowns, and we repair all the district, which is small. But in the same time, Technická správa komunikací was doing their reparation. It was not completely new surface. They were just, let's say, working on a couple of holes, and the price which Magistrat was paying was 2 millions. There are such incredible differences in the pricing that what we believe is that if a part of investment money you will transfer from Magistrat to districts, the mayors will work with them much more effective.
Which is, I would say, your main message, right? The thing that...
And as I see, Mr. Hudešek maybe not agree with everything with me, and I don't say that all 57 mayors are fair people. But still, they are under much bigger control of its people than Magistrat is.
Mr. Hudešek and Mr. Kassel, if I may, you both have your own experience as mayors. So is it a fair criticism? Would sort of a decentralization, which is something Mr. Passar is pushing for, help in your eyes? And if no, which I expect you to say, at least to a certain level, why not?
I think
I
think it's not so interesting for the audience here, because it's a really inner system discussion. But I think that the discussion about decentralization is still open, and I'm open to listen in this way. And I think it's not about just one topic; it's about a lot of topics, like decentralization in repairing the streets, decentralization in some decision making. It's an open discussion, but I think it's so inner system discussion. I'm not sure that it's so interesting, honestly.
Just your gut feeling, would decentralization on a large scale help or not? It's not just about
sorry. I cannot say that decentralization is perfect or not perfect, because it depends on the exact theme, exact topic. Like repairing the streets, okay. Why don't permit reparation of small streets to small municipalities, to small mayors, small parts of cities? Okay, we can make a discussion about it, but I think this is not the main problem.
Thank you, Mr. Kassel.
We have to create a blend system, so it's not yes or no, it's not black and white, but you must find the right division between the responsibility of Zbigněk Passar as a mayor of Kolodě. What's the most efficient way of decision-making process and investment process? He shouldn't be burdened by big infrastructure project or big construction, because he has not capacity, he has not people for that. But definitely his, let's say, cost management will be much more precise on the small-scale construction than on Blanka Tunnel with nearly 40 billion crowns. So the process of decentralization, which started in 1990, in fact, and gradually continues, which was maybe interrupted for a while, but should gradually continue, should lead to the fair subsidiarity process combined with fair financing, proportionate part of the budget. I don't want to say it's 12% or it's 10%, but it's definitely not 95%, or it's not vice versa. So the fair approach will be do as much as you can on the local level, do it on Kolodě, do it on Slivenec or other other boroughs where Mrs. Pamínkova from the candidates of Mr. Štěpánek is doing a great job, but you simply cannot put the experience from Svilanec to the city level and say, I will simply implement it. It doesn't work. It's absolutely different scale.
Question or comments regarding what has been said so far, ladies and gentlemen? I know that we have a question here.
My name is Birger Husted. I'm Dane and have been living in Prague for 22 years. Currently in Prague 10. I must say, if I would say, with the current situation in Prague 10, I'm not really sure I would like any delegation of any funds to Prague 10. I think to a large extent that this is very important to see if we can really get the money down there, but you have to have trustful people that are doing it. And I think the whole system, we need to change something around. And one thing that quite surprises me today here is, well, of all the people that are sitting here, it was ODS that was actually in charge after the last elections. Thomas Hudacek is now running the show, Top 09. We have a former mayor that left because he was fed up with one of the things that were happening there. And we have some new forms, somewhat, you can say, maybe protest parties that has been developed that are new on the scene here. KDU, JSL, all of this together as such is somewhat also reviving again. Why do we not have ODS here? Why do we not have JSS now? I mean, maybe we just don't give them any chance for the next election. I would be happy with that, no problem. But why are they not there? My little quick question here to all of you is a question more on what would you do to actually get the social engagement of people in the city to actually be more engaged in developing the cities? What has happened over the last years has been more that people have been appalled by what has happened on the political scene from city level or locally, and because of that they have actually withdrawn. And now you're seeing some grassroots movements that are coming up and barking quite a lot. In Prague 10 we have this referendum which has been put in where the politician in fact said, okay, great, you can have your referendum, but we're putting it on a date where you have no chance in hell to actually succeed, because we're putting the referendum on the key issues on the second vote for Senate elections. So.
Okay, up to you. Do you have a mic? Well, you have the mic, so go ahead. Yep.
Again, a story. Yesterday I was called by a friend of mine who's living in Prague 6, in the same district as me, in Bubenec, and all of a sudden he asks me, what is happening on the square? Somebody is dragging out the green. And I said, I don't know. So he found out that the municipality, all of a sudden, they decided, without asking the citizens, to change the green square to a playground for children. There is a playground, but they wanted to enlarge it. When we went to the municipality and asked what happened, I mean, who decided about that? So they said, well, there were complaints from the mothers that they don't have a place to play, and there are too much people with dogs. And I said, okay, but did you ask anybody else from the other part, I mean, other citizens? No, because if we would ask, we would never come to an end. So I was puzzled, honestly. So I mean, even citizens who want to do something, they are actually at a very strange barrier of ignorance.
So what would you do to...
Definitely open it. I would never do something like that.
Absolutely agree. But the question was, what would you do to essentially engage or re-engage people
First
again?
of all, I mean, ask all the citizens who have some good plans, I mean, come to the municipality and offer it. I mean, we will discuss it. Yeah?
Open mic night.
Of course. I mean, why not? They are the city, not we at the office. We are only administrators. I mean, they are the city. Right. I mean, if somebody doesn't understand it, so it's wrong at the place.
Mr. Passer?
What we do in our city district, I have to say that I'm for 16 years in charge as a councillor in Koloděje. We try to get the people to the public work, to work on the common projects like the parks, schools, school works, garden works. We try to work as a people, as a councillors in local NGOs, to be with the people as much time as possible, to have a public debates in a pubs, for instance, just to be with them, to hear them. I think that that's the base. I think that the answer is not difficult. It just needs time and effort to go out among the people.
Thank you. Mr. Štěpánek.
I think that Prague is in the trap of large-scale projects. And you really have a hard time to get public involved in that, because you usually have to push those through, because there are always people who live close to a freeway or something, and then you just end up pushing it through and have enough troubles with completing that and with budget and everything. But what you really need to engage people is to have enough small-scale and middle-scale projects that are scattered throughout the city, where you draw people in. But you can't just go and ask them, because people will answer you, we need parking. You also have to have a vision, and you have to work with them. You have to tell them and ask them. I'll give you an example. When I was an executive councillor for the environment, I happened to be able to get quite a big chunk of land, of fields from the state. It was a complicated story, but I was lucky enough to get it for the city for free. And it's just next to a project that is the lowest income project in Prague, in Letňany. And I went there with the help of local leaders of the local borough, and I discussed with people what to do there. And there were obviously competing interests. There were people who wanted business trip. There were people who wanted some environmental projects and things like that. And that's the northern part of Prague that, aside from Ladví, had no, it was agricultural and then industrial, and it had no green space. And we built a big forest and a park on that site with the help of local people. And that was one thing that drew them to participate at public matters. And when there's been later a proposal to run a new road through that, those people themselves defended it. This thing is still going on, but I believe that that place will stay. So you really need to have enough mid-size and small projects that people actually see the process, how to get to that goal and how they get there. And once we get there, we will win, because then we'll be able to do 1 or 2 large projects during the 4 years, but we'll have enough to keep people engaged. And of course, we have to do those large scale also, like in transparent way, without corruption and so on, because that is the opposite. That tells people, what can I do? It's always corrupt. But
all right.
We need those.
Thank you. Mr. Kassel.
Just a comment. I'm quite happy that I finally found out there was something positive on Pavel Böhm's era, because Peter Štěpánek managed to get some low-scale projects for people.
The most expensive ones, the greens.
Okay, so one positive aspect of Pavel Böhm for years.
The question is whether it was in spite of, or...
Let's go back to the question. The city of Prague is a sick woman, sick city, sick body, because it's suffering from total distrust of citizens to the city government, to the city council and municipal assembly. And to regain the trust is the main goal and main aim for the newly elected assembly. I'm so sorry you live in Prague 10. I was trying to make some changes and... Okay, so then you can ask your party boss how she can run for mayoress for Prague 10 and what she will change from that Mordor coalition which is existing there now. But there are unfortunately city parts and boroughs which are not run by fair people and honest governments or local councils. I was engaged, thanks to Tomáš, in a strategy plan which is now evaluated after many years. I have introduced strategic planning thanks to Llewellyn Davis in 1994 and British Know-how Fund in 1996 and so on. And the strategy, one of the results of the strategic plan and one of strategic goals which is within my responsibility was that instead of reducing number of boroughs. We should not divide big boroughs as Prague 10, 6,